What do you think car shoppers are looking for these days? Is it performance, technology, looks, style? I mean, well, guess what? We've got a good friend of ours here, Marcus, who's joined us today. What are the new buyers actually looking for today in 2025, Marcus? We want to come together with some ideas, what you guys are looking for as new buyers in 25, as we've seen the market shift with the evolution of electric vehicles, plug-in hybrids, performance cars. We've seen such a drastic differentiation between different types of vehicles. What are the priorities now as a new buyer? You maybe don't have all that money and the latest and greatest tech, but you know, there's something that probably you find a priority. Like, what are the things you're looking for in 2025 when you're shopping for your new car?
Thanks for having me. It's great to be here. I made a little list here just to base off of today, and first of all, I'm gonna have to go with price. That's always a big one.
Price.
Yeah.
Yeah.
All the cars nowadays are getting so expensive, so price is always a big one you have to look out for.
So what are pricing? When you're talking price, are you talking sort of the out the door price, like the final dollars? Are you talking about a monthly affordability on terms of, like, say, loans? Are you incorporating insurance, fuel costs? Are those important to you as well?
Of course, everything. I mean, it's all getting incorporated together, and just everything overall is just getting really expensive. Everything's just going up, and everyone's pay is staying the same, so it's not really helping out very much. But you know, gotta just kind of budget and make do with what you got, I guess.
Yeah, yeah. So do you find there's a lot of resources out there, and it's really helpful, a lot of information out there to make those decisions for buying prices? And
yeah, a lot of information, lots of different sites to visit, lots of different places to go. Yeah.
So what's your take on, you know, as a new buyer, you know, what are you most looking for? Like that cash deal? Are you looking for the ultimate cheapest deal, or are you looking for the best value? So it may not be the cheapest vehicle, but maybe get better finance rates. You may be, you know, maybe they're throwing in more widgets. You know, are you looking for the value, and maybe you settle on a kind of a poorer vehicle, but the price and the value seems to be a little bit better? Like, are you looking more for value, or are you looking more for just the bottom, just the pricing?
It's kind of, you gotta look at like it all at once, you know. You gotta, some places you kind of have to sacrifice, well, where like you gotta, like where it then thrives in other places. If you want a cheap car, then you're not going to get the fastest, or you're not going to get the most reliable. You're only going to get, like, you can't have everything in one. You can't have the price, the reliability, and the performance all in one. So you kind of have to sacrifice one of those to have the other two. So it's kind of just looking for the best value, best car out there for your own personal usage.
So bang for buck, in other words. So are you familiar with the term? Like, I don't know, and a lot of young buyers, newer buyers, they see that next shiny toy, and we're still kind of on that same conversation, of course, about pricing and value, but to consider value and affordability, are you looking at, you know, I have to save all this money and be able to buy this cash? Or are you thinking about, you know what are my monthly payments? And in your opinion, in your personal opinion, if you have to take out a car loan, how long of a loan period are you willing to be paying for that car? Like, how far do you want to be paying for that to be considered good value? Because there's a point, I mean, anything can be made affordable if you make a car loan that runs 20 years. But then warranty, the car's worn out, the warranty's long gone, and the car is basically scrapped. So there's a point where if you take out a loan that's too long, sure, you're affording the monthly payments, but you're driving a piece of scrap at the end of that. Is there sort of a end date, like a loan term that you would be willing to go as long as? Like, what do you think, for you, rule of thumb, would be the longest loan term you'd be willing to look at?
I believe that, like, I don't really like believe in like loans and stuff. Like, I don't, if you have to take money out to buy it, then like you can't afford it, you know? It's like, I believe where it's like, if you can't afford it, you shouldn't buy it. So if you have to take out a loan for it, like, and especially like a bigger loan, like a big loan, then I like truly believe that you probably should like look for cheaper cars or stuff like that, and
nice
stuff that's more in your budget.
Well, that's a great point because because that kind of is contradicting a good part of the market where a lot of new buyers just want to get into that new shiny toy and they don't care and they'll do it at any cost and they'll take out an 8-year loan term just to make it happen, right?
Yeah.
And that gets like super expensive in the long term because then you have things like negative equity, interest rates. You end up paying tens of thousands of dollars more just on interest charges if you take out an 8-year loan term. So a lot of new buyers just want the latest and greatest. But I love that. That's a very refreshing perspective because you're looking at it as if you don't have the money, then you probably can't really afford it. So great point. So, okay, tell me about some other priorities. What's your next priority in line that you're looking for when you're buying a new car now in 25?
Another one kind of goes with the first one, not really, with the fuel efficiency. With the fuel costs, especially nowadays, it's just going up and up and up. You gotta have a car that's not just gonna burn gas where you're filling up every 2-3 days and spending $100. Like, it's going out of style, so you gotta like also look there as well. Fuel efficiency, that's especially nowadays with it. The prices, it's just it's bad. It's everywhere you go, it's just so expensive.
It is ridiculous nowadays how much they want to charge for. Well, fuel is up and down, ups and downs. But if you've got a big thirsty V8, then I mean you might save on buying an old car because it's a cheap old car, but the old cars weren't that efficient. So then the trade-off is you could spend $200, $300, $400 a month on fuel if you do a lot of driving. And that gets really expensive. So fuel efficiency, let me ask you this one, because this is something that is very controversial, but everybody sort of has their take. When you're talking about efficiency, you just want, good performance, good efficiency. Are you thinking, I mean, what's your overall take on, driving hybrid vehicles or electric vehicles? Do you feel that they have a place in the market?
This is a personal opinion. I'm not a huge fan of electric. See, hybrid, I'm more of a fan of hybrid because you still get like the ICE. So I'm not a full fan of like the electric, I don't know, especially that they're kind of like forcing it upon us too. That is kind of I don't really like that. But hybrids I don't really mind because you still have the ICE where you also get the hybrid. So you get kind of the best of both worlds with that. But yeah, definitely the full electric, I'm not a fan of that.
Yeah.
But.
No, that's fair because there's the regular hybrids that are always on and off and charging and uncharging, discharging. But then there's the plug-in hybrids, which for those that do a lot of city driving, to your point, you can save a ton of money. If you're driving a plug-in hybrid, you plug it in the overnight, you go out there, you do your short trip to work that might be 20 miles away or 15, 20 miles to work. You drive to work, drive home. You never even started the gas engine, especially if the summertime, where that will allow that to happen, and you can drive to work and home, plug it in again, and you could literally drive all summer and not really barely use any gas unless you go on a highway trip or something. So there's definitely efficiency there. So
yeah, and with the full electrics too, that does it does help with gas, saving money on gas definitely, but then also you still have to pay for the superchargers, no? So it's you still have to pay for you still have to pay for it, but obviously it's cheaper, so it does help. But even with the electrics and stuff, that's I don't know, I'm just not a fan of it. It's well, I like cars with the sound.
Yeah, the sound and the vibration, the rumble. Yeah, that's what the real gearheads like us, obviously, and so you're kind of appreciating some of the kind of more the cars that actually kind of resonate. You feel it. You feel sort of almost like a heartbeat. The vehicle's driving. You hear it, the vibration, the sound, right? Yeah, that's great, and that's what true car enthusiasts.
And with the electrics, you get the performance. Electric cars they're starting to become the faster cars now, obviously. Yeah. And so with the hybrids now, you get that start off with the electric where then it just goes, but then after it kicks in the engine as well, so then you still get the engine, you still get the sound, still get that, but you also get the performance from the electric still. So
100%.
It's nice.
Yeah, it's almost the best of both worlds. The only downside, of course, is when it's time to replace a battery. There's extra systems in there, but yeah, that's fair. So it does matter to you, efficiency, and it kind of matters. Okay, cool. What else is a big priority of yours as a newer buyer in
As
25?
a younger person, obviously, we all love our technology. So obviously having that like aux, or just being able to like plug our phones in, being able to connect our phones to the cars with like not Apple Car, sorry, Apple CarPlay, yeah.
And
With,
Android Auto and all
yeah,
of those,
with
right?
that stuff, that's definitely like a nice to have. That one's definitely like just being able to plug in your phone, playing whatever you want, and just not having to listen to the radio, having to listen to whatever they're just playing, and just having to deal with it. So it's definitely nice having that technology and stuff. Yeah.
It's super clean. I think back, like I'm an old guy, but I think back, 20 or 30, 40, 30 years ago, and I think, the little cassette players, and sometimes it would jam up in the machine. You pull out the cassette player, and all of a sudden you have to unwind it because now the tape is stuck in the machine. Or you have, you had the little cassettes, you had the 8-track players, and those were clunky. Then you had to have like a giant basket to put all these parts, these cassette players. They were a joke. But your cell phone, it's all in there. It's quick, it's fast, it's easy, plug and play. It's digital music. It's 10 times the quality. You don't have to unwind anything, or, I want to hear that song again. And you don't have to do all of that, right? So, yeah, I can appreciate that the plugins.
You also don't have to get into the car and kicking over a stack of CDs and stuff. I remember doing that a couple times growing up.
Yeah, or the CD's got a little scratch and it skips, and you're gonna blow it off and rub it off on your shirt because it's kind of like scratching and it just keeps repeating. 100%. So yeah, no, that's cool. CarPlay, Android Auto, and even plug in aux if you're using some of the other systems. If you even have stuff on your phone, you can just play it directly, or Bluetooth or any of that, right? It's a lot of fun. So cool. No, I agree. That's, as younger buyers, I'm an old geezer, so I can appreciate that. I've seen that differentiation. For me, I've seen it. This is all you really know, but I mean, it's definitely a priority having that connectivity. So
yeah, especially now with it's kind of like we're in that like time where it's starting to shift over. So like half the cars have the technology, half the cars don't. So it's like everybody's kind of like getting like kind of still testing both.
Yeah.
So I mean, give it, what is it, 5 years, 3 years, within like 3 to 5 years in that range, and
you're right. I think we are at that point. And we can talk to another time, another discussion. But I mean, there's waffling all over with, going full EV and not. There's lots of mandates and all over the globe right now talking about 35 being fully switched to EVs. But it feels like there's some winds of change coming, and it feels like there's a now not just a resistance, but actually almost a renege on some of those plans. And it's inspiring to hear some of these manufacturers. Sure, while they're advancing some of this technology, they're almost looking at this again and saying, well, hang on, maybe we're being too hasty. Let's continue developing internal combustion engines, and maybe some of the older technology will still hang around a little bit longer. And it keeps life simpler. And honestly, more technology means added expense down the road. But I know as a young buyer, you still want some of that tech. You want to plug in, you want to hear some of that fun stuff. In terms of technology, do you like big screens and things like that? Or are you old analog gauges, or what's your thoughts around that?
Definitely for like the speed shifts, like the
tachometer and RPM.
I like the basic, just regular, just
okay, like a good old fashioned tachometer.
But like with the the whole like screen with that whole thing with like where it gives you the exact speed, I find that does help. But like, I don't know, I like seeing the actual like the whole gauge and being able to actually like just see it all. Like, I'm more of a visual person, so I like that more. But I do like the screen with the speedometer where it shows you like the specific speed. Like, I do like that. But for like the main screen, I don't know, somewhere in the middle. Like, obviously, you don't want the entire dash being like an entire TV, but
it's like this giant, like it's like walking into Vision Store. You get this big display of 25 TVs. That's what it feels like walking into a Mercedes-Benz right now, right? Is you got the screen from A pillar to A pillar, and you got all those like bright flashing lights, and it's almost blinding. Have you seen the latest BMW, the M5, the hybrid, and everything else? It's nothing but electronic lights and glow. It's like this fun glow down at the bottom is something like, it's almost ridiculous. But I agree. Like almost too far now in some cases. I feel like the center screen stuff is getting a bit much. These giant screens.
Yeah, they're either like ginormous, taking up the entire thing, or it's like an iPod where it's like 2 inches and you gotta like be right up next to the screen to actually see it. And it's like, it's like, well, like, where's the happy medium? You know?
Totally. Okay, cool. So, what else? I mean, there must be something else here that another priority of yours now that you're shopping for a new car.
Obviously, another huge one. This is probably one of the bigger ones. Is obviously reliability. Can't be heading to work one day and it just shut down on you on the side of the road, and then what? You know? Yeah. So obviously, reliability is a good one. You can't you don't want to be spending just as much in car payments as like repair costs. So it's like you got to have that sense of reliability, even just a little bit, so it's like, even because the car's got to last. Like, cars are meant to last. Cars are they're a tool. They're supposed to help you. They're not supposed to cause you more problems. So if it's causing you more problems, then that's an issue. That's obviously got to go. The reliability isn't.
Send it to auction.
It was obviously a cheap car if the reliability isn't very good. Obviously.
100%.
So obviously reliability is a huge one. You can't have a crappy car where it's always breaking down every other week. So
no, that I can't. I definitely can't dispute that. Reliability is a major factor. If you spend more time in the shop or getting things fixed than you're driving it, that's a problem. And also because, like you said, for you, you're buying cash in most cases, or you're thinking if you're going to buy a new car, you're probably going to buy the majority of it cash and minimize those monthly payments. But a lot of people do take on long loan terms. And the worst part is, the average warranty now, the average warranty of a car these days is 3 years, maybe 4 years. Some manufacturers now, like Dodge, Ram, Stellantis, I think Volkswagen was doing it. Certainly Hyundai, Kia were doing 10-year warranties just on the drivetrain because there was problems, and they're just warranting a big turd essentially for 10 years. But the majority of warranties are only 3 years. And so if you're making car payments for 7 years, you're driving for 4 years without warranty, that's a huge risk. Now you're still making those $800, $900, $1,200 a month payments, and all of a sudden you have a big whoops of, a catastrophic mechanical failure. Now you're toppling that on top. You could literally see how that's a recipe for financial ruin, really.
It's just a pile of just adding on to
exactly. So at least if you're, at least if you have an unreliable vehicle or there's a problem, if you're not making payments, at least there's a little bit of that, instead of paying that $1,200 every month, you don't worry about that. Okay, now I have this $3,000 repair, but that's sort of like 3 months worth of payments. And you can just, it's easier pill to swallow if it's one or the other, but not both, right?
Yeah.
But what do you think in terms of reliability? Give me some examples of what your take is on some of the most reliable cars right now that you've been thinking about.
Toyota's obviously a good one. Toyota, Honda, those ones are really, those are just to-goes. Those ones are always reliable. Mazda's starting to become really reliable, also, I've heard. So those three mainly. Toyota, Honda are cheaper, so they have like the cheap and reliability, so it's nice. Mazda is, I don't know, it's kind of all over the place, just depending on what cars you're looking at there, obviously. So, I don't know, it's more just what you think is valuable to you and like what you're using it for. So like if you're just using it as like a beater every day, then you should just get a cheap, reliable car. You don't necessarily need like
the bling and all the tech and performance, right?
So I mean, it's more just what you need. It's more of just like a personal preference, obviously. Right. So I don't know, you kind of just have to take a second and just not just buy the first thing, just the first nicest thing that you see. Obviously, it's nice to have all of those things. It's nice to have all that extra add-on, but that's also just extra costs that, you don't necessarily need.
Okay.
So it's like...
and so extra tech, extra, the upscale engines, the extra performance, the extra, all those features cost more money up front and sometimes add to reliability problems, which we're talking about reliability, right?
The more complex like a device is like the more likely it is to break down or something to fail on that. Like if there's just more pieces, more components to it, that just means that there's more pieces and more things to it that like are able to fail and able to be unreliable and cause you problems.
That is such a funny story, because I can't tell you how many guys out there, you know, that 19-year-old guy that wants to get his first BMW and he finds this great little E90 335 and he's like, yes, my dream car, and I can rod it, I can mod this thing, I can make it fast, I can drop a JB4 tune in there, I can go hot rod and I can race and beat everybody's pants. And then he drives it for 2 weeks and bing, that infamous BMW check engine light, that bong, you know, that beautiful
it's like
sound.
a Christmas tree with all the lights.
It all of a sudden means, boom, you know, money. And then he finds out really quickly, well, it was fun to have a car that goes fast and looks cool, but wait a minute, now I'm paying the piper on repairs. So reliability.
Water pump, coolant leak, oil leak, and all these oil burning, and it's just issue upon issue.
Well, it's like we had people, we were talking to some people the other day that were saying they were thinking about buying an older Audi, like a 2012, 2014 Audi A4. And I just make a laugh. I said, well, with the oil burning technology. Anyway, that's just my own personal opinion. But yeah, either way, you've got to have something that's going to last. And especially if you're taking a long loan terms, you probably want something that is going to last the test of time. But anyway, enough about reliability. We know that's important. It's got to last. And if you're using it for day-to-day, probably the simpler the better. If it's your special Sunday cruise, you could probably trade off a little reliability for more of the fun, right? If it's just sort of your toy. Kind of depends what your thing is. But anyhow, what else you got?
Last one, as like a first car, this isn't as big, like this isn't as like necessary, but performance obviously. So yeah, it's good to get a cheap, reliable car, but you also don't want to be driving like a car that has 40 horsepower where you can't even keep up to the traffic on the highway, you know?
Yeah.
So yeah, you got to get a cheap, reliable car, but it also has to like have that performance point too, like even a bit. Yeah, it's going to be hard to find a car with all three, but with like the performance thing, that's not as necessary, especially since I'm a new driver. Obviously, it wouldn't be a smart idea to put me behind a car, like behind a wheel with 300 horsepower, like. Yeah. So that definitely wouldn't be the smartest. So like obviously, car that's cheap, reliable, and just gets the job done mostly. Like
that's priority, but a little bit of performance there to kind of make it interesting, right?
Make it fun, but also you don't want enough performance where I'm gonna get pulled over, because as a new driver, it's gonna be, you know, I'm gonna want to step on it here and there, have fun with it. So obviously, if I get something too fast and step on it at the wrong time, and I get pulled over, and it's just not done there.
Well, you think of a car like classic example, like two sides of a coin. You think of a McLaren 765 LT. Let's throw the most extreme example. You get in that, you pull gears for 3-4 seconds, you've blown the speed limit out of the record, or out of the water. It's ridiculous. So to have a car like that for somebody who's a new driver, who's probably less skilled, and certainly less mature in some cases, not always the case, but generally that's a lot of power, performance, and risk, right? And also, honestly, the cost. Obviously, that's an extreme case. The flip side is, though, there's some great cars out there, like a Mazda Miata, like even a Mini. You talk about a fun car that might be a little quirky, might be a little pricey to maintain, but one of the best cars that I've seen is a Mini JCW, the John Cooper Works. Classic example. It's basically BMW drivetrain, but it's a small compact package. Everybody knows Minis, right? Yeah. Everybody knows Minis. They're great, but they're fun. They're cheap. It can be a little pricey in maintenance, but the latest versions of the Coopers and maybe not the Coopers, but the Minis in general are a lot more reliable. The newer versions, BMW's making better engines these days, and that would be an example of a fun car that has some good performance, but it's not earth-shattering performance. It's peppy. You can round the corners briskly. It has enough acceleration to pick up on the on-ramps. It's fun. Like that, would that be an example like that, or even a Mazda, like a Mazda 3, something with a little bit of pep to it that handles well? Would that be
those examples? It's those are definitely good choices because they're small. They have their performance, like they have the speed and stuff, and they're small, so they're quick, nimble. They have they're not gonna get me in trouble. They're not the fastest thing out there, but like for someone starting out there, they got like good performance, good top speeds and stuff.
Yeah.
Obviously, I won't be reaching the top speeds anytime soon.
Yeah.
But those are small, quick, nimble. They're quick, light. They're like a go-kart kind of. They're just a bit like a life-size version of a go-kart, I guess.
Yeah.
Where it's like you can kind of just go have fun with it. Small, it's cheap, fast. You don't really have to worry about it too much. You hit a pothole, whatever. It's $200 fix, whatever.
Yeah.
You hit the windshield, you get a crack, you hit a rock, whatever. It's not that big of a deal. It's a Mini Cooper.
So it's fun.
Yeah.
It has performance. Most of those have the modern tech. It's going to be good on fuel. A lot of those now, the Mazda 3s, the Minis. I mean, any of those, even like, well, a GR Corolla is a little more pricey, but even like a Civic Si or a Civic with a manual gearbox, like some of them you can get equipped like an Si or the Type R. Great cars, fun, peppy, a little pricey, but they're somewhat reliable. Plug-ins, tech, they look cool. They seem to meet the criteria for a lot of young buyers, right?
And with like the Hondas and stuff, especially like a Civic and stuff, as a young person, I can do some work to it, have some fun with it, as a first car, kind of just do what I want to it, kind of put some work into it, just drive the wheels off and then not have to worry about it. It's not like it's going to be like my last car. It's not going to be like, not going to be like the last bang, so I'm going to have cars in the future that I can have
speaking
fun
of last bang, if a person driving a Hyundai or a Kia, that might be that bang that we're talking about here. It may not be like metaphorically speaking, it could be literally the last bang. That's why Hyundai's, Kias. Anyway, we won't even talk about Theta.
If they choose to buy another one, there could be another one
Theta 2 engine, 100%. That's why like Mazda or Hyundai, Kia, and people ask me all the time, hey, what do you think? It's a good car. I say generally, you take your chances. Heed my warnings. I might look at an electric version of those because at least they can't blow up a piston ring when an electric car. But at the end of the day, there's some brands out there that I would steer away from. Pardon the pun, but that's great. Well, I appreciate the feedback, Marcus, and I'm glad to hear that you have some real well thought out ideas as to what your priorities are. I feel like that's probably priorities of a lot of young newer buyers coming out, especially in 25 now. If you were to ask a buyer from 20 years ago, their priorities would probably be a little different. They wouldn't have the tech, they wouldn't have all these other things, right? Performance would be high on there, style would be high on there, affordability might be on there, but there'd be like I said, technology may not be in there, safety may not be in there. There's other things that are less of a priority back 20 years ago. Today, safety's higher on the list. Technology, plugins, right? Efficiency. Those are more important because they all affect, our longevity also affects our bottom line and our wallets.
Yeah. Especially nowadays with the prices and stuff compared to 20 years ago. So it's like you kind of have to be aware. You kind of have to look out. You got to do your research before buying, especially nowadays.
Yeah. 100%. So anyway, thanks again.
Of course.
It was absolutely a lot of fun. Yeah, I know. Great stuff. And I'm sure we'll talk real soon. So thanks again. Anybody, be sure to share, like, and don't forget to drop a line. I'd like to hear your thoughts. If you have any ideas that as a younger buyer or newer buyer, or maybe somebody buying a new car in 25, what you think your priorities actually are. It really does reflect the mass majority of the market, not just new buyers. So anyway, thanks again, everybody. Talk to you real soon. Bye-bye.